You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO 101 Jams. You have Charles,
Max,
Raisin.
and thank you all for staying tuned. Thank you for listening. Tell a friend, tell a friend. We are here, Seville, bringing Seville to the world and bringing the world to Seville.
That's it.
So make sure you tell them tune in. WVAI streaming worldwide online, also on 101jams.com. Also, this conversation coming up, I know it's going to get your senses a little titillated, and you're going to be having strong opinions, because this is something that's new that we're about to talk about, y'all. We are joined with Miss Lindsay Hauser of the University of Virginia Emily Currid Cancer Center. Miss Hauser, how are you feeling this afternoon?
Good morning. I'm feeling good.
Good. Thank you for joining us. And I'm glad you could be here with us, because a lot of people know, right now, one of the big trends that's happening in, with our youth, but as well as adults, which is e-cigarettes / vaping, juuling. There's many names for it out there, but you have an educational toolkit, right? That's sort of targeted towards teens, but I'm sure all of our listeners could benefit from learning from it, correct? So tell us a little bit about this toolkit.
Yeah, definitely. I think you nailed it with all the different names you just actually had there. So you've got juuling, you've got e-cigarettes, vapes. I mean, there's all sorts of names for these products, but really they're all based off of the same things. And the Tobacco Free Community Coalition of Charlottesville, which UVA is part of, we really have worked hard to really understand what's happening here in our local community around e-cigarettes and vaping, and trying to figure out how can we actually tackle that and provide accurate and real education around this epidemic. I mean, there's so many different things happening, and it's hard to get what story is straight, what stories make sense, what is the truth, what is not the truth. So the toolkit really brings together some practices that are really proven to be helpful resources that can help people talk about it, for parents, for students, and for schools as well, and actually our community members too, because without the education, it's hard to tackle this.
Yeah. Now, if I'm correct, you have this toolkit in Albemarle High School and Charlottesville High School. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we worked really closely with Albemarle and Charlottesville High School to develop this toolkit. We had some parents, some teachers sit in, tell us about what they're seeing, what they really needed, and they've used this toolkit now to educate their PTOs, their staff, their administrators as well, to kind of figure out what do we need to do to tackle this more, and what kind of education do we need to provide our students.
Got you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Lindsay Hauser of the UVA Cancer Center, talking about the e-cigarettes educational toolkit that they have currently in a couple of local high schools. And number here, 434-422-9101. Feel free to chime in during the break if you have any questions or comments for Lindsay. All right, so Lindsay, let's go ahead and dig a little deep. Let's dig a little deeper, because there are some folks listening to us who may be lifetime smokers.
Yeah.
And then there's also some younger people that's listening to us who maybe didn't smoke for the right reasons, but now they see vaping and in many arenas is being presented as a healthy alternative or a safer alternative. So sort of two-part question there. So one, is the toolkit more specific catered to is it like an anti-vaping thing or like anti-smoking for the kids, or is it also information in there for maybe people who already smoke and think that this is safer?
Yeah, so the toolkit itself really focuses more on our youth and helping our youth not even begin to use the products. And I think it's really important to really point out the tobacco industry and how it's really shifted its gears over the last couple of years. So if you think about traditional tobacco, our cigarette use, I mean, we don't see our youth really using those products anymore, which really scares the tobacco industry. But we really are starting to see our youth using these e-cigarettes, these vapings, these juuling products as well. And the tobacco industry has gotten behind that. So if you really look at it, the tobacco industry is the one driving these e-cigarette products. And we know that our traditional tobacco products, our cigarettes, those types of things aren't healthy. And we need to really think of our electronic cigarettes, our juuling, our vaping products, kind of in that same light. They really are not a safe alternative to our regular traditional tobacco products.
It reminds me of like a lot of people didn't know, but like a lot of the what do you call them? Like the smoking cessation products, like, the Nicorette and stuff, they were also owned by Philip Morris and all that. So you have the same people selling you cigarettes that were selling you the nicotine patch.
So then, so we need to be careful with that though, because those nicotine cessation devices, so your patches, the gum, the thing you might see on the commercials, you can buy them over the counter, and they actually are a safe alternative if you're trying to quit using tobacco products. They've been studied, they've been put in clinical testing, so we know that they're a safe alternative, and it's really a clean nicotine. Whereas when you're using an e-cigarette, it's not just nicotine. I mean, you've got all sorts of chemicals, flavorings that are added to it that we don't know what they do when they enter our body.
Now, I have a question for you. This is Razor, real quick. When it comes to, we know that people have had throat cancer and all these different things from regular tobacco. What do y'all have as an information of negative things that have happened to people from the e-cigarettes?
Yeah, I think this has really been highlighted a lot recently in the news. So there's been over 1,000 lung-related injuries. Really specific there, right? Lung-related injuries.
Popcorn lung. I heard that's one name for it, right? Popcorn lung. Is that what they call it?
Yeah. So
What's that?
Yeah. What is that?
Catch me up on that. What's that?
So back in the day with the microwave popcorn, the chemical flavorings in the popcorn itself, the people who worked in the plants that were manufacturing that popcorn actually started to come up with these mysterious lung diseases. And it was related to the chemicals in the microwave popcorn, and people were getting lung disease from it. And we're seeing similar things with these e-cigarettes and the flavorings. There's all these mysterious lung diseases popping up, and people are really are struggling with this. And I think the scary part of it is that these injuries are not happening to our older populations. It's really 35 and under that we're seeing all of these recent illnesses. And there's been over 18 deaths related to those illnesses.
Yeah. Sorry to jump in on this interview in the middle. So, but yeah, Razor and I have a high schooler, and it's almost like a fad for these young kids to, do these e-cigarettes or what have you. Yeah, and my son will tell me like he has this friend and that friend that does it, and I think these stores need to be more responsible about how these things are kept. I mean, of course, an adult could be purchasing them, but I believe that a lot of them are being stolen, right? And they're obviously not very healthy, so they just need to be more responsible about that.
Yeah. Now, and Lindsay, do you know? So I know to buy cigarettes now you have to be 21.
Yes.
Now, is that the same for buying e-cigarettes as well?
Yeah,
It counts?
so
Okay.
as of July 1st of this year, all tobacco products, including juuling, vaping, it's all 21.
Okay. Yeah. But Max brings up a great point. It's very specific.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, like when Lindsay was saying about the flavoring and everything, my mind went to, okay, so if flavoring is the problem, what about bubble gum? What about all these foreign things that we put into our body? Are they using the same chemicals to flavor? Because I mean, whatever the flavor tastes like, it tastes like. So why wouldn't you use it in additional things? So,
I love that you brought that up, because that's something we get all the time. So when you think about those chemicals, the flavorings that they add to food that we eat, they are safe for us to actually eat. But when you're talking about an electronic cigarette, you're not eating that chemical. You're actually inhaling it into your lungs. So it's a really different. We don't know what happens when it enters our lungs. The chemicals change, and they are becoming more dangerous when they're heated at high temperatures using these electronic cigarettes, and then we're inhaling them into our lungs.
But there's no filter either.
There's no filter to that.
Yeah, it goes straight into your lungs as opposed to like going through your stomach bile, your pancreas, and all this stuff. Yeah.
So then,
makes sense.
So is there any research that leads to believe that that it's safe to vape 100% tobacco if it's not flavored?
So we have to look at, when you look at what we're looking at in these e-cigarettes, when we're saying tobacco, it's really the nicotine that we're talking about in them. So it's really, you've got your e-cigarette has what's called nicotine salt, which is different than our tobacco that we see with cigarettes. It comes from the plant. The nicotine's actually made all in a lab. It's all synthetic. It's not actually homegrown like tobacco leaves that are turned into combustibles, but rather it's a salt. So it's a very different landscape. You can't actually smoke just like a straight tobacco product.
So Lindsay, for the person that says that's why I smoke weed, because I know that was on Max's
actually
mind.
passed through my mind, Ray, so it really did. It sounds like it's more safer.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, now, when it comes to the Cancer Society of what you're part of, do you look at that? Because I know that they use marijuana to combat some cancers. So is this one of those things where people then say, okay, why aren't they legalizing marijuana here in Virginia?
Well, let's just roll back to the lung diseases that have popped up in this over 1,000 different cases of this mysterious lung illness. And a lot of those cases, what they're finding are people are using vapes and modifying them to put THC in it. So marijuana, basically. And a number of that, a good percentage of those cases actually have the THC linked to that vape as well. So they've modified their vape to add THC to it. So that actually is a little scarier to think about. Yeah. Not saying that any way you use it, whether it's if you're just using it straight, like the product you're buying from the store, or if you're modifying it, both ways are showing to be very dangerous.
Yeah. Once again, we are sitting here with Lindsay Hauser of the UVA Emily Curritt Cancer Center, and she is discussing, giving us a little education and discussing, the dangers of vaping, Juuls, e-cigarettes, and what have you. So, how about we take a quick break and we'll get right back, Lindsay, and how about we dig a little deeper into the actual toolkit and like what that looks like? Because I'm sure there could be someone listening that's interested in maybe adopting that or inviting you all, to their club, their school, what have you.
Sounds great.
All right.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO 101 Jams. You have Charles.
You have Razor.
And we are still here with Lindsay Hauser. And, Lindsay, so we have some young men here in the station with us. So we thought, instead of Razor and I sitting here and, thinking like what would the young people want us to ask? What would a teenager that may hear this presentation want to ask? Why not bring the teenagers in? Mm-hmm. So we have Deacon and Dashiell here with us. So, Razor, which one's going to go first?
Deacon, how old are you?
14.
Dashiell, how old are you?
12.
Okay, now, the reason that we're having this show today is because a lot of your friends use vapes, Juuls, and different things, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so tell me, why do you think your friends do it?
I would say to look cool in front of other people.
Okay.
Because nowadays being cool is one of the people's top priorities.
Oh, it always has been.
Mm-hmm. Gets in trouble.
Yep. Now, Dashiell, you're in middle school, 12 years old. Why do you think your friends use it?
Same thing. I think they just want to be cool for no reason. Like,
do they look cool to y'all?
There's not much to them.
Yeah.
It's just
something that they do. Is that regular? All right. If I grab 20 of your friends, how many of them do you think vape?
I would say 10.
Oh, half.
Oh, Lord. What about you, Dashiell? You are 12 years old. Do you have friends that's younger than you that vape?
I would say at least.
Now, is that
11.
a yes that you have? You got friends 11 years old that vape?
11 years old.
Okay. Any younger than that? Okay. So about. All right. Now, Ms. House.
Yeah.
All right. Now, these are your target market. What would you tell them?
Well, I think you all have been part of the tobacco industry's ploy to get young people to start using. And honestly, it's really all part of social norming. So we see that in all reality, teens are thinking that more of their peers are using when in reality they're not. I mean, 1 in 5 actually use these products. And we often focus on that 1 rather than the 4 that aren't using it. So we get this perception that it's really cool, but not everyone's actually using them.
Yeah, and it stands out to me is that this young man is 12.
Yeah.
And what it made me think of, Razor, was when I was 12, what we did, and really it's the same tactics, though. But we had the candy cigarettes.
The candy cigarettes.
And I remember we
and the big league chew.
Yeah. The big league chew
gel.
looked like spitting tobacco, right? So it's all advertising tactic. But I remember we thought that was cool at 12.
Yeah.
But I can't recall us
doing the real thing.
Yeah, doing the real thing.
So now the cool thing is really putting this all on social media. So we're advertising to our youth on social media. We're doing things like cloud contests. So look at me, look how big my cloud is from my e-cigarette, which seems cool because there's money involved with it. You can win prizes. You can get some fame to it as well. Mm-hmm. They really know their tactics, and it's not much different than what they used to do with cigarettes either. You're right.
I used to, without calling any names, we have a family member that was the first person that I watched doing the vape, and he would have a air bubble so big you couldn't see. So when you would see people do that in the car while driving, it had it didn't register. You just put everybody's life in danger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think those clouds. We don't see them as much with our Juuls. Juuls are really more discreet. I think y'all mentioned that you don't see it. It's cool, but you don't see it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of that mysterious. I can get away with it. Also, kind of feel to it that makes it appealing for youth.
Yeah, in one of my businesses, I had a bunch of kids in there talking about the Juul. I didn't even know what the Juul was, and they were like, "Oh, you just plug it into the USB thing. When the teacher does their rounds, you just pull it out. They think it's a USB.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
like for your homework and everything. And they say that's how they charge their Juuls.
Yep.
But where are they getting the flavors and stuff from? Who's purchasing this? That's what we need to figure out.
I have multiple friends that get it from their parents. Their parents go out and buy it for them.
Wow.
So I think that's where we have some work to be done. I think we need to really make sure that our parents are also educated about this.
That's big. That's big, yeah, because, I know in the school systems, and you've probably seen as well, Lindsay, from being there now, is that, like, there was so little known about it. To where, parents really didn't know, until now, to where they thought it was sort of, some people thought it was a toy. Like you said, some people thought it was some sort of digital USB thing. Like, people didn't fathom that it could be even more dangerous than an actual cigarette, or that it was even the same thing.
Yeah, and so our toolkit, I just want to bring it back to that too. So the toolkit really does have a whole section for parents. How do you talk to your teen about this? How do you know if your teen's using it? The toolkit really digs a little deeper into that and has some great resources for those kind of conversations.
What do you do for the parent that says, I'd rather them be doing this than taking pills or using heroin or things of that nature? Like, they don't look at it as like a prerequisite for the next drug coming, but they look at it as an alternative. What do you say to them?
So I would just like to point out that nicotine is one of the most addictive drugs, and it seems like it's safe because you can buy it at a grocery store, a gas station, all over the place. But really, when you look at teens who start with tobacco, they're more likely to use other products and harder products as well. So I think you have to think of it as a snowball effect. Like, if we let them just start with one product, it could snowball into something bigger.
Deacon and Dash, I'd like to ask y'all two questions. Do you think that a Juul pen or vaping can hurt you? Like, honestly.
Yes.
By the way, these are my kids. These are my two sons. So, like, honestly, do y'all think that they can hurt you? Or, like, when your friend blows a cloud of smoke, do y'all back up or do you stand there?
I don't really associate myself with it, so I don't really know much.
Okay.
Yeah, like, they're my friends, but they're, like, my friends. So, like, I have friends they'll have it, like, they'll talk about it all the time, but then when a teacher walks past them or something, they'll get scared as I don't know what, like, asking us like what to do and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need more young men like yours here that can be advocates for this.
Well, they need more fathers that's crazy, that's all. Now, let me ask y'all something, like, because I grew up in the age of, like, I don't even know if y'all know what crack is, but do y'all have friends that do these vaping things that also take pills, pain pills? That y'all know of? I mean, y'all might not even know of.
I don't know of any.
Okay.
Yeah, no, really.
Okay. No, I was just wondering if that slippery slope has already started at your age or not.
Yeah, because it's really about that access, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like if you have an unlocked liquor cabinet or if you have a medicine cabinet, unfortunately. But yeah, the education is so important, and a lot of people think it's just for the kids, but hearing that parents piece is crucial. So Lindsay, so if you wouldn't mind real quick before we let you go, is the actual layout for the toolkit, like, sort of take us through, the process, what's covered, sort of how long it takes, so people can sort of visualize, like, what it is they could be signing up for.
Yeah, definitely. So the toolkit itself is an online resource. It can be found at the Thomas Jefferson Health District's website. And it really is a very basic resource. So it talks a little bit more about what the products are, what are e-cigarettes, how they're different, what's the difference between e-cigarettes and your combustible products like cigarettes. And then it really digs deep into resources for parents, resources for the schools, and resources for our lay community as well. So everything from how are you talking about these products, what actually is in these products, what kind of chemicals are in the products, and also how do you educate our youth about these products too. So it's a great resource for whoever is interested in it, whether you be a teacher in the schools or you're just a student looking for more information. It really has a wealth of knowledge in there.
Okay, so you don't need an actual instructor or presenter. It's just an online module. Okay.
Yeah, so the toolkit itself is an online module, but we do also offer through the Tobacco Free Community Coalition. There are groups that are interested in having presentations. They can be directed at parents or for school members or even for our students as well. We do have a presentation that is available that we can go out to the community with.
Nice. And what's that website again?
So that is TJ, so Thomas Jefferson. It's I'm going to mess this up as always, but tjhd.org has the website for the actual toolkit itself and how to get presentations in your community.
Okay, awesome. And so a question that just came in is the talk about the evolution of these products. As far as like the capitalistic market behind it is already thinking ahead of the game of how we're going to get ahead of being denounced.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about sort of next phases that we should be looking out for to be aware of?
Yeah, so the products are always changing. I mean, we started off with e-cigarettes that looked like cigarettes, and now we're at these USB looking like tiny mods that are jewels. Mm-hmm. But the tobacco companies are always 4 steps ahead of us here in public health. So what we're really looking for is what is the next product going to be. So the heat not burns are probably the next thing that's coming down the line. And it's just going to be one more step for us in public health of how do we tackle this and how do we help those from either not becoming addicted or help them if they are already addicted to these products.
And what was that again? You said the heat not burn?
Heat not burn, yeah. So it's really just a different way that they use the e-cigarette and the mechanisms within that e-cigarette, and it's changed over time. And the current regulations and laws around the e-cigarettes we have in today's world are not going to be the same for these heat not burn. So we're not sure what that landscape's going to look like when they hit the market.
So that sounds like something to where they're trying to maybe like give you a reason to say, oh, like, well, this doesn't burn those chemicals the same.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you. I know that when it came to like tobacco companies, they used to target low income and African American communities, and it seems like these e-cigarettes are kind of covering everybody from the person who has money to the person who doesn't have money, because a lot of times when we have organizations like, and I'm not being funny, but organizations like yours that want to do something and help, it's because it's targeting a different demographic than what has been targeted beforehand. So what do you find when they do their advertising as to going into different groups? What do you find like the people that you're really trying to help that you see has the problem?
So, I mean, obviously we want to help anybody who's using these products, but we are seeing the same traditional tobacco tactics we've seen in the past. So we're seeing that they're putting menthol as the flavoring, and we know that low economic status communities and black communities as well, they are traditional users of menthol flavoring. So they're using the same tactics. Nothing's changed. We're still trying to tackle this, try to figure out how do we get the flavorings out of these products, because we know the flavorings, especially menthol, is one reason that people use them. So if we can get those flavorings out of the products, then we know we might be able to tackle this in some of these communities.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why is it that, like, when you talk about somebody as big and influential as UVA trying to fix the problem, why do you then, why is it that we go to try to get the people to come to get help instead of going and targeting at the tobacco company, like directly? Saying, Philip Morris, you are causing these problems. If we really trying to help, why are we not going for the head?
I mean, that's definitely a great approach to it. I mean, that would be the key thing to do. I mean, you've really nailed it. That's really how we solve this problem.
Yeah, and I'm not that educated.
I mean, we should hire you for this. Definitely. It'd be very helpful.
It's a different kind of education.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, though, we want to be able to, so it's not just UVA. I mean, it's the Tobacco Free Community Coalition really is made up of organizations around the community that are involved and really want to help solve these problems. And as much as we'd love to aim really high and go big, we also want to make sure we're addressing what's happening here locally and provide whatever help we can here locally.
But that almost seems like you don't want that kind of trouble, because nobody really goes after. I mean, I don't want you to answer it for everybody, but I'm just being honest. Nobody really goes after the NRA because they know if they turn their focus towards you, you're going to have problems. Nobody really wants to go after big tobacco for real because you don't want those kind of problems. So what we'll do is we'll try to get the people that has the problem and try to get them off of it. And so while they're continually doing new tactics. But if we really want to fix the problem, you go after the head like you do in everything else. When the wars go on, we don't bomb gas stations. We went across the water and bombed the country that was causing the problem. But we won't do that when it comes to money. So that's my only knock when it comes to organizations talking about they helping.
Yeah, so to that point, so with the coalition that you mentioned, with are there different facets? Because I believe that they are, to kind of get to Razor's point of that, like there's like the educational piece, folks who do that, but then like you have like the company, I think it's called Truth, and there's different companies who have a whole marketing campaign where they're going straight at like putting out the stats about Philip Morris and all that. So is that part of it, and part of that coalition? Are there folks who kind of handle sort of the media
segment?
and people
I guarantee
who handle
you.
education or.
I mean, Truth is a nationwide organization that really is going at the tobacco industry and companies. And I really honestly think, I mean, it makes sense to go at them, but it's going to be a huge collaborative. I mean, you're going to have all the players at the table.
Yeah,
and I
you're
think
gonna have to
UVA
have
would
money
be
backing you.
happy to be part of that conversation too, but we can't do it alone either. So.
Right. So, well, fellas, since we got the teens in here, any other questions that came to your mind or comments? I mean, because you have the expert right here. If there's any questions your friends couldn't answer, it may be your opportunity.
Well, something popped into my mind earlier as we were talking. It's not a question, but I just wanted to mention that y'all were talking about how dangerous it could be. I remember one of my friends came to school high, and he asked me if I wanted to hit, I think it was an e-cigarette, and he was telling me about all the different type of stuff that he had put into it, and he was like, yeah, bro, it feels so good, and I just felt bad for him.
No, I think that's a great point. Yeah.
So I want to see, does this draw kids more to it? Now that they've made a jewel, and now they've made it that you could design it and all that, you could, and you're putting more money into it.
Oh wow!
Do you think that
you know a little more than I thought you did? We need to talk after show.
Do you think that
just playing.
that draws kids more to it?
Definitely. I mean, they're really just trying to figure out what really draws youth in. Their advertising, they really work with youth on figuring out what are they interested in? Where do they go to? I mean, they have some of the top experts. I mean, people from Apple are involved with this, like old CEOs and executives.
Apple was involved in the jewel, or
not in the jewel, but they have people that have worked for Apple. Who, when you think about Apple products, they're really sleek, they're really cool looking. So they hired them into their company to help design really cool, attractive products that they know youth are going to want. And what's the next cool thing?
If we want to fix this, we got to go at the head. Other than that, we just putting a Band-Aid on the situation.
You know, and it's also it's like Fortnite for vaping or something.
Yeah,
because they know that's what the kids want to do now. They want the whole simulation of it. That's wild. That's wild. Guys, anything else? Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Give me a little applause for coming in today. That took a lot of bravery getting on the radio. So, ladies and gentlemen, 434-422-9101. You can hit us during the break if there's any other question or comment. We have been talking to Ms. Lindsay Hauser of the UVA Emily Kerr Cancer Center and talking about the educational toolkit for e-cigarettes and vaping for our youth. It's already getting acclaim here in the area. So, Lindsay, thank you for the educational outreach that you're doing for the parents and the kids, to while this is being tackled, that they are aware of the marketing ploys and the schemes that's being done, because there's big money behind these schemes, and the whole marketing ploy. So we got to be able to outsmart them for the safety of our kids. So I appreciate the work you're doing.
Lindsay, can I ask you one question that I shouldn't?
Oh no.
that's who Razor is. Yeah, and we can go to break, but because UVA is a facility that fixes new problems, isn't it kind of beneficial to them to always have something new coming up?
I can't speak for all of UVA.
I mean, you understand what I'm getting at, though. It kind of helps us fix things as long as there's problems coming down the pipeline.
I mean, UVA, the Cancer Center, we are always going to be trying to reduce the burden of cancer. And we know that tobacco products definitely lead to cancer, and we want to be able to stop that before it happens.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're always going to be looking at that prevention, early detection side of things.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Lindsay, before you go, though, contact information, if they want to reach out, learn more, and, of course, get to that toolkit, just let us know how they can reach out to your department.
Yeah, so I would recommend reaching out. Go to the website, tjhd.org, and you will be able to find the toolkit and how to contact us there.
All right, awesome. Thank you for joining the IMHO.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Much continued success. Anytime, let us know when you want to speak to the community.
Great, yeah.